Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. I'm going to go over some positions that you might have if you have a retreat that you activate during a ROL or a crisis situation. There's positions that people will have to do. Now there'll be many people doing the positions and you'll be doing a shift, be it a 1 hour shift, 2 hour shift, 3 hour shift, or whatever your group decides to do. Now granted, the more people you have, the opportunity of just picking one of these jobs and doing it for the night. If you have less people, you'll have to do more. And basically this is nighttime. What do we have to do at night? You're going to have radio watch, number one, someone monitoring the radios. You're going to have your stationary security around your retreat or your home or your subdivision. You'll have roving security, maybe even an LPOP further out to warn you of danger coming to your retreat or home. You'll have a sergeant of the guard that's in charge of the defense. And you'll have fire watch. I'm going to talk about fire watch on this one. Fire watch, what is it? Well, if you're in the military, you've done a lot of fire watch from basic training on up. If basically be a couple guys up in the military, if you are at a platoon, if you're going anywhere, just to provide security for people, for your sensitive equipment that's all around you, and also in case there's a fire to be first responders to that fire. For us, it'll probably just be one person because we have limited manpower. So basically what they're going to do is do a shift. The first shift is the hardest. The first shift will be the hardest at our retreat. If we activate our plane, we'll have multiple families coming. They'll have a laminated card for the first sheet and a separate card for every follow-on shift. The first shift will be the hardest. You're going to have to do the most. First, I want to tell you basically what you'll be doing. If I activated our retreat plan, we would have 4 buildings to take care of. 3 of the 4 have wood stoves in them. We would have maybe a few campers on site. So they will need some checking in, making sure everything's safe during the night so the occupants can sleep and not worry about it. So the first person taking the shift will have the hardest shift. First of all, they will make sure that every building has been properly stocked with firewood. It's not their job to stock it. Their job is to, as soon as they take charge of their shift, the first person would make sure there's firewood in every building. So he doesn't have to go, he or she doesn't have to go outside to the fire pile, bring wood in. That creates noise, which you don't want in a nighttime environment. We use metal containers, nice little metal containers to put our firewood in, and when you're loading that, you're hitting the side, it makes some noise. So their responsibility is to make sure every building has adequate firewood to get through the night so they don't have to go out there wandering around. And they'll also be maintaining that fire, maintaining a nice environment in each building. So if they need to add firewood, they can. Now if it's a summertime, it would be fans. We have a little bit of solar in the building, so we would have box fans in the window, so when the evening cools off, we can pull in that cool air, and their responsibility would be monitoring that, maybe turning the fans off as soon as it gets nice in the building, because the solar and the electricity would be precious, not the waste unnecessarily. So they'd be monitoring the temperature in the building. As soon as they take over, they would be making sure and checking all of the animals, making sure they're put up for the night, chicken coops are locked. If you are running some additional lights at night for maximum light exposure for egg production, you would turn those lights off when you're supposed to and make sure everything's corralled up properly. Next, you would do your lockup procedure. You might be locking certain gates, locking outbuildings, definitely what you'd be doing. Also, they would be making sure noise and light discipline is maintained. Everyone would be in charge of this. But making sure your shades, your blinds are all down so light is not getting out. Next, they would look at the vehicles. If you have vehicles that you might need to bug out of your location, these vehicles are parked in the right location. There's nothing parked next to them like you park your tractor in front of your bug out vehicle. These vehicles are parked properly. They're pointed out so you don't have to back up, and vehicles positioned properly. Next, if on their shift there's bad weather, they would make sure any loose items like chairs or tables or anything that's outside would be secured so it doesn't blow around. Maybe they have some supplies outside, firewood, hay that's covered with tarps, making sure these tarps are secured properly so nothing gets damaged. Also looking at solar panels. I have solar panels that will rotate so I can maximize, and this is done by hand. It's very easy, but making sure if it's going to be strong winds that they tighten the bolt so this won't move. If you have a wind turbine, making sure that if it's very bad winds that your turbine is properly positioned or tied down. Also, the first shift would be in charge of looking at the fuel in the generators, looking at the fuel in the gas pumps for firefighting. Now, it's not their responsibility to fill these up, it's their responsibility to make sure they're ready to go. So if you have emergency, you don't discover that, hey, your firefighting equipment pumps only have half the tank. You want everything topped off. Next, firefighting equipment. As they walk around for their first shift, they'd make sure that the buckets next to the rain catchment, hoses are properly placed. If you have any tools, shovels, rakes for firefighting, all these are placed in their proper place. No one had taken any. And usually you would spray paint these with red on the handle. And everyone knows this is a firefighting piece of equipment. Don't touch it for just going out and digging a hole. Go get the shovel out of the barn for the digging. This is a specially designed tool that's placed in a position where everyone knows. So in case of a fire, you have a fighting chance. During their walk around, they'd also, if you have aquaponics, make sure you check on that. Make sure it's properly set for the night if you have to do anything special with it. You would also be responsible for checking in with the radio watch. If the radio watch personnel have to take a break to use the restroom or do anything, this is who would sit in. The fire watch would sit at the radios while they did their business very quickly and to get back. You would also be in charge of waking up the next shift. In our case, we could have people sleeping in multiple buildings, multiple campers, and maybe worst case, people could be sleeping in tents in a worse crisis where another retreat would have to bug out to our retreat. We couldn't accommodate them in structures, but we will definitely accommodate them with tents. So walking around and making sure everything's secure and safe. If a threat happens and you have to notify people, the radio watch personnel would stay at the radio, coordinating with different positions and neighbors. But your fire watch would make sure everybody's woke up properly to fix the threat. As soon as everyone's awake properly, this person would become probably the first person to report to the sergeant of the guard to get his orders of what should I do for security. Probably the last shift might have a few other details to do. If you're going to be using your wood cook stove, making sure maybe this is fired up early so the oven is properly cooked, so if someone's going to make bread or do anything, the cook doesn't have to wait around or get up early because you already have a person up. They can get the fire going in the wood cook stove so the cooks can properly cook. So this is a start for an SOP. Is there anything else you think the first shift needs to do? The follow-on shifts would be a little bit easier because you wouldn't have to really check some of these items. You might, as you walk around, just double check because you are another set of eyes for security. But you're mostly doing is making sure buildings are safe. If you are monitoring also maybe some of your solar consumption, do a check really quick, making sure you're not draining your batteries down too far. So there's a lot of things you can do, but this is one of the 5 positions that you would have on a working retreat in a WROL situation. Thanks for watching.